Nova. Everybody, Nova's going on at the moment. It's happening over in the States. It's probably either the biggest or the second biggest set of Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40k, all that kind of thing, tournaments out there, probably after Adepticon. But as part of that, what Games Workshop has done is they've showed off some of the stuff that they're going to be bringing out over the next year or so. They did a big old reveal. It happened at 2 o'clock this morning, and I wasn't awake, so we're going to be looking at it now. I've got Charles here, if you want to say hi, Charles.
Hi there.
Hello, hello. And we're going to be checking it out. We're going to be giving our thoughts about what's going on. And yeah, we're going to get into it. No Space Marines, because they're Space Marines and they're boring. So we're going to do a lot of the Age of Sigmar stuff. Yeah, there's some cool things. So yeah, let's get going. Right, we're going to start with Warcry. There's some new stuff that they want to show us. We're not going to watch the video because it doesn't work. Thank you, Games Workshop, for that. The interesting thing, here we go. The Hunter and Hunted box is going to be coming out. Now, we saw the Wilder Corpse, I think last month it was. They're the new Cities of Sigmar warband with the dogs and the hunters and all that kind of thing. But the new stuff, these guys, Ogre or Orgor, whatever they're calling it nowadays, Gorges, yeah. So we got a team of 5 Gorges. We got the leader here with the two hand weapons. Bonus points if you spotted this axe in the leaks that Games Workshop have been doing. We got a guy here with just two hands going raw. I'm real angry. We got another guy with 2 hands. Incidentally, this model, if you're familiar with the original Gorger, the big old Finecast one, it's kind of a rework of that, and it's a much
better.
Much better, yeah, exactly. It's a big old improvement.
Yeah, they've come a long way.
Yeah. And we got another guy with a hand weapon, and we got a guy with double hand weapon who's roaring. So there are 5 of them. It looks like it's going to be a leader, 2 no hand weapon guys, 1 single, and 1 double hand weapon guy for your weapon options.
It'd be interesting if you can choose which ones are which, but
it doesn't look like, normally if you look at the models there'll be like connection points where you'll be able to see stuff, but like this arm is a complete arm of this Gorger, same as like this one and this one. It doesn't look like there's a natural
look
line.
Like they're single build,
single pieces. Yeah, maybe this one you could convert this one because it's got like the manacles and the wrappings, so you could cut it at the wrists and give it the weapons that you wanted.
Quite possibly that one and the one with the 2 hand weapons.
The leader.
Yeah, they may be interchangeable because the hands on the other one go straight into the wrist.
Some of these, if you look at them, he's got 6 toes and he's got 6 fingers on this hand.
Oh yeah. So
that's quite fun.
Bit odd trolls.
So I mean, I don't know anything about the new background for Ogres.
I don't think it's changed. But
no. So the old Gorger background was that if a baby ogre was born without a paunch, so no gut, it would basically be seen as like, oh, this is a bad thing. So what they would do is they would throw them off of the edge of the cliffs where the ogres lived, and the Gorges would basically go feral. They become like these crazy wild ogres that would go around just hunting things and killing anything and everything in their path. So I guess that's what they're doing here.
Well, these ones, they have an unending hunger. They're never full compared to other ogres, so they kind of outcast. They're kind of outcast and feral because they can never be full, and as you can see like the skin on the stomach, and they're using like bits of bone to tighten their skin. Yeah, which is kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, well, I mean the original Gorges did have this.
Yeah,
it's very. I mean, some of the criticism I've seen for this is very Flesh Eater Courts.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do look like the new Flesh Eater Court models quite a bit.
Yeah, but they're kind of the same thing, right? So Flesh Eater Courts are cannibals who were humans and eating humans, and these are cannibals who are ogres that will eat ogres. So they're sort of overlapping.
They do look great. The current Gorger of Warcry is 195, so they're all going to be around that price point if you're getting 5 of them in a warband.
Yeah, for sure.
Most likely the leader's going to be a little bit more expensive. Maybe the ones with the weapons will be slightly more expensive.
Yeah.
And then the unarmed ones will be the current Gorger profile.
Yeah, I mean, I think within the Gorger profile itself, so they're 195 points. They're like 4425 is their damage profile.
I think it was 4436.
36.
They're actually, because they're ogres, they've got a really
they're
good
real
damage
good.
profile.
Yeah, but they've only got toughness 3. Which is their thing, right? But they got 30 wounds, which is nice. So I think there's a little bit of wiggle room in there to be able to kind of give them some slight boosts in stats without necessarily putting more points on.
Like the big double-handed one might be like strength 5 or strength 6, like some of the other ogre great weapons.
Yeah, or like an extra attack or something.
Yeah. I feel it would probably be less attacks, but higher strength, and the two... Like the leader with 2 hand weapons might have more attacks.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's not a lot of room to play with points-wise, seeing as they're already 195 for a normal Gorger.
I mean, I think that the upside of this is that they are all still destruction, which means that you can drop like 200 points worth of Gorger and have a lot of points left over for like the Gobbapalooza, some guys from that. There are a bunch of Goblin
Even
Bladeborn. Yeah.
Even drop 2 of them and put 400 points worth of other stuff in, and then you can still have a Gorger in every deployment.
Yeah, I think it was for 400 points, you could go with one of the Goblin Bladeborn teams, get like 3 of those goblins, and then get your Gobbapalooza guy in there, the Brugit, to go +3 attacks on your Gorgers, because they'll shred anything with +3 attacks. And so that was like 4, and then that was like a 7 or an 8-man warband, which suddenly becomes pretty good. Whether it's better than just taking a normal ogre warband, I don't know. we haven't seen the stats, but they look super cool. Like I love the aesthetic that they're going for here, especially this guy. This guy's my favorite.
Yeah.
Old Rory. They're going to be playing against the Wilder Corpse. Now, we've seen these already. I've shown these off already. We've got the hunters with the crossbows and the dogs. We got some guys with big old... You said these are boar hunting spears? Is that right?
Yes, it's based off of a boar hunting spear, because you've got the crossbar to stop like something you spear from just pushing its way down the spear.
Right, yes. And we got Giga Crossbow here with its amazingly impractical stand.
Well, yeah, to be carrying that around would be a bit of a nightmare. But, I mean, I like the guy with a little hand crossbow and the sword. He's in like a good little roguey pose. But they've actually got like proper crossbows.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the other Sigmar stuff, these guys actually look...
The hand cannons that you absolutely hate.
I don't like them. But these guys actually look like the part. Apart from seeing little bits on top of the helmet, but
yeah, you can snip those off. That's not a big deal. They look very like Robin Hood style, I think. Yeah. And that's pretty cool.
Very classical. And then the dogs.
Yeah.
There is somebody at Games Workshop who's very good at sculpting animals, and that's their job.
So what do I want today? Well, I did monkeys for 2 sets. Now it's time of the dog.
And I've had a crab and a fish.
Yeah. We're going to see an octopus later. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about actually, so we've seen the Wilder Corpse, and we'll talk about this in a minute. It's a real big warband. I think it's like 12 models or something.
Yeah.
So... the box, if we take a look at the box itself, the contents of this box are the 2 warbands, this piece of terrain, which we'll check out, and then there's like a book for the box going through some scenarios, a bunch of missions, that kind of thing.
The standard rule book and bits and pieces.
So mechanically in Warcry, having a very small warband, as killy as ogres are, I'm sure that each one's going to be able to just eat a guy on every attack, versus a really big warband kind of poses some problems when you've got like objective missions or kill missions or that kind of thing. So it would be very interesting for me to see how they address that with the ogres. One of the ideas that I had is that they will most probably have if the ogre kills a guy, he'll get a free move or attack action. That's pretty simple thing.
I could see them having the triple that's basically if you kill something, you get a free move and attack.
So rampage on a triple.
Yeah, the triple rampage could potentially, most likely, like the current Gorger has, a double for a move.
Free move, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like they're going to have action cheating built in to compensate for their numbers.
Yes. So the Questor Soulsworn had that. They had a lot of that. And yet they never really seem to gain a lot of traction. The problem with the Quest or Souls one is...
I think it's because they're Stormcast, and it's just like, it's Stormcast.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with the Stormcast stat line, and they weren't killy enough to be able to capitalize on all that action cheating that they could do. But hopefully because these are gorgeous, they'll be able to do it. And if they can, I'm super interested in looking at this list and playing it. If there's a big old tournament happening in November, if it's out before then... You're going to see some ogres, because I'm going to get this box. We're going to see some ogres.
Good chance this will come out maybe end of September or October.
Yeah, I think next month.
Yeah.
Because they're showing us the box. They're showing us exactly what's in it. So there is that. And yeah, the last thing that's in there, which is quite nice, is this Moor Pit. So it looks like in the box they're having... the 2 warbands, and then 1 piece of scatter terrain.
Well, what they said on the stream was, instead of the usual terrain content, because if you've been playing Warcry for the last couple of years and you've bought all the boxes,
got terrain, yeah.
You've already got all the terrain coming out your ears.
Yes, you don't need more trees.
It's kind of the reverse Kill Team problem. Like, Kill Team, again, like, you've got, like, terrain coming out your ears if you buy every box.
Yeah.
But you only ever need 1 set of it, whereas Warcry you can kind of do with 2 sets and mix and match. But they've given you 1 really nice terrain piece, which apparently also you'll be able to sub in for your ogres in Age of Sigmar.
The Moor Pot, right?
Yeah, you'll be able to sub it in instead of the Moor Pot. So they're making it more multi-use. But it's a great bit of terrain as well.
Oh, it is. And I quite like the fact they're doing this. So I've got Sundered Fate, and Sundered Fate is the only box that I have, and it's the only terrain set that I have. But it's a bit sparse in terrain, but I like the idea that if I can buy these boxes, and they're going to be doing a bunch of these, there's going to be 3 of them, and each one has a nice piece of scatter terrain, it really helps bulk out that scenery from those boxes where you really want more. And I think that's pretty useful. I quite like it. They don't talk about the cost. Here's the book that's coming with. They don't talk about the costs. I think this is going to be round about £70, maybe £80.
Yeah, so somewhere between the £65 to £80 mark.
The warbands individually retail at 35 from Games Workshop, so it's not going to be less than 70. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So far, all the feedback has been really good for this box. People like the 2 warbands. People like the Gorges. They like the fact that it's a smaller box. So yeah, hopefully this is the start of a big resurgence in Warcry, which I'm looking forward to a lot.
And what you might see just ogre players buying it for Gorges and terrain piece.
Sure. I mean, I have no doubt that the Wilder Corps are going to be busted for Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah, they're probably going to be a very cheap chaff unit that people are going to want 1 or 2 of. So you'll probably see these boxes split up onto eBay when they go out.
Sure.
So if you do want to just pick up one team or the other, there's a good chance you'll be able to pick them up before they come out individually.
Yeah, and this might be... So the way they do it with these teams for Age of Sigmar is whenever the box is released, they release the rules for the team online for that unit. And I'm
assuming, though, the Rangers are actually in the new Sigmar book. So.
Yeah, they've been said already to be in that book. But the Gorges are going to be a completely new unit of Gorges for Ogres. You get 5 Gorges in this, so it's not a bad amount of models considering how much it could end up costing. Like 3 months down the line, these warbands will be released separately, and they'll be £35. So £35 for 5 ogre-sized models is actually really good value in current Games Workshop money, I think.
Yeah.
That's the Warcry box. I'm super pumped. I'm really looking forward to this. I actually think it's a good product this time around. But yeah, let's go on to the next one. We have Thrugg, the Troggoth King.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So where is he? There he is. There's Thrugg.
Interesting. He's meant to be an ancient troll. He's basically been alive in the realm of life for a long time, which has powered him up insanely, but he's been asleep a lot of the time. We're not really a fan of the troll aesthetic.
No, not
of goofy proportions.
Yeah, so God, anything who knows anything about the original Warhammer Fantasy trolls, the old rock trolls, that's where they've taken this aesthetic from, and I never liked them. I think they're real goofy. I think the heads are goofy. I think the proportions are kind of fine, but it's not really something that
again, I don't know if it's just the angle of the kit, but you've got this big foot, this calf, and then this like skinny leg bit that connects. And again, we're talking about a fantasy creature here, so actually trying to
they don't exist.
Yeah. Like, trying to make sense of its body proportions doesn't kind of work.
Sure.
The new giant kits, they're all, like, in proportion.
Yes.
Is the thing. And all the big stuff they do is generally in proportion. They've kind of gone this little bit more, very fantasy route with it.
Yeah. I mean, what do I like? I like the club, because the club is like a fossil Nautilus shell kind of thing. I like that. I like this thing on its back because it's
so it's got like... He's kind of been semi-buried under it, because as you can see, it's kind of like it's all kind of grown into his back.
Here we go. Look, we got more of this. It's like, he was underneath it and they built it, and it just happens to have been on him. You got his wonderful posterior that they've sculpted.
His butt crack.
Exactly.
You've got a little tiny Troggling, which comes on him.
There it is.
Which again is going to sell more than the model itself.
Sure, of course, always does.
He's coming in a great big box of him and 6 of his mates. So it's like a whole army in a box.
The Trog Horde, So this is part of the Dawnbringer book 2. Is going to be about this guy. So if we think back to the Age of Sigmar roadmap, we've got books 2 and 3 of Dawnbringers coming out in the autumn time, and then book 4 is going to be coming out in winter. So winter could be anywhere from December all the way into like February next year.
Yeah.
So this is book 2, and this is the guy.
They do like releasing big things in a book, and then you can go, oh, here it is. Here's this big thing.
Yes.
You can play it. It really depends on how good he's going to be. But
it's like
good because he's king of the Trogs.
He is king of the Trogs. Yeah, I mean, like as a model, I can give or take. There are some elements I like. I like this whole like cave painting kind of thing going on.
He's got some really good design elements, and I can also see him being cannibalized for a dozen other things.
Oh, sure.
Like those antlers will look amazing on some other things. The
big old nodal thing.
Oh god, yeah. You could make like a new Glockkin, or you could use like bits and pieces in like the Demon Princes and stuff like that. Yeah. Like he's a fantastic resource if you wanted to buy him to use him for bits.
Yes, for sure.
But he's not bad. He's not my favorite, but
no.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy, yeah. It really depends on how good he is in Age of Sigmar, and time will tell for that one. But yeah, let's move on. Okay, so this is, you like this, right? You like the Ironjawz.
Yeah, they are orc.
They are orc. I think this is probably our least favorite orc that is orc.
Oh no, he's great.
Really?
No, I like because like he's got half of an iron jaw, but what they've done the really nice thing of he's got a scar across his eye that also goes into the iron jaw essentially.
Yeah.
Like they've done a lot of. I actually like him quite a lot. You're probably going to want to keep him with that big old blade because apparently it can break ward saves. Whereas the other one where you give him the big tool, he gives like buffs. Yeah,
I like how the blade is still molten, that he's still working on it. And if you look at the two hands, one of them is bandaged, of course, because it's a molten hot blade, and the other one isn't bandaged because it's his pair of tongs.
Yep. And his anvil squig.
Yes.
Who kind of reminds you of the Anvil of Doom almost.
His perpetual headache that can only be cured by being hit on the head.
Yeah, I like him. He's quite good. And I don't think you've got a rear picture, but it's like he's actually kind of like one. Yeah, there we go. So you can see he's only wearing like kind of an over armor, and he's like kind of half armored.
Yeah,
which is quite. I like they've actually put a lot of thought into it. But yeah, he's meant to be quite good. But he also, I feel he looks quite good. And again, he's quite a good conversion material. Like, I can see him getting used in 40k for mech boys. And
sure. Like Mad Doc, if you had like the tongs, neck boy with the thing.
It's just the aesthetic is very much almost mega armored already. So
yeah.
And that's what I like what they've done with the Ironjawz. Like,
sure.
Because then we've got the next. Oh yeah.
The next guys are the Brute Rangers. Ragers. Yeah. Sorry, not Rangers. They're not ranging anywhere.
They're essentially Orc Slayers from basically how they were described. Because they've apparently boasted too much and somebody called them out on their boasts. So
we'll show you. Hold my beer.
Pretty much. They go, fine, strip off their armor and go and kill stuff.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so there are two. I'm going to show them at the same time. The Ragers, and then there are the Weird Brute Wreckers. Now, I really like the Weird Brute Wreckers in terms of aesthetics. I don't like the Ragers in terms of aesthetics.
The only difference is the heads.
I know, they're the same models.
The models are exactly the same, just the heads.
I know. But I can tell you why. I think I've figured it out. If you buy the Brutes and you don't give them the armor, they look like this. I don't think there's enough to differentiate these between naked Ironjawz that you can build anyway. And these models.
It would depend on their rules.
Yeah, but sure, but you could buy a box of normal Ironjawz, not give them the armor, and then you got these.
Yeah, potentially.
They kind of look the same. But these guys, I really like. I really like the swinging maces. I like the helmets. I like the skull masks. They kind of chime a lot better with me, even though they are the same bodies as the other guys.
Yeah, literally it's just weapons and heads.
Yeah.
But they're apparently meant to essentially be like fanatics, essentially. They are juiced up with wire energy, and they literally just go buck wild.
I love the fact that they are giving Ironjawz more units now. I mean, previously we were talking a little bit about this before, where if you wanted to build an Ironjawz army before, everything was like 200 points. So you just pick however many units, it's like 5 units or whatever it is, make it up to 1,000 points, 10 units, and then it's done. But I like the fact that they're getting some more different units now that they'll be able to use.
These are new Ard Boys to replace the old fantasy Ard Boys, which are just so out of scale now.
Yeah, old is the word that we need to use for the old Ard Boys.
They are small and tiny compared to the current
They are.
Ironjawz.
These look fantastic.
Well, they've just taken the new kits and made a unit for them. So they only seem to be showing them with the spear, and the unit leader's got the big chopper, but they apparently got the same options as the current Ard Boys. So there should be hand weapons.
You'll have hand weapon and shield, spear and shield, double hand weapon.
But they look fantastic. They've got the new Ironjawz aesthetic to them.
Yeah.
And they look suitably orky. They won't look tiny compared to your other orcs.
No, they will not. They will look like actual Ard Boys as opposed to just boys. The interesting thing about this, so these guys are going to be in it. The big pig that we saw at
everything
Warhammer Fest is going to be in it.
That's being released for Ironjawz will be in a free PDF.
Battlehome supplement, they're calling it.
Yes, yeah, which is good. They know they're not going to basically be able to do what they did with Lumineth and just keep releasing codex every 6 months. It's a big enough release to warrant this, but it's not big enough to warrant a new book because the existing Uruk book is good.
It's a really sizable release for Ironjawz. Normally, when you've got new stuff for armies in Age of Sigmar,
technically only 4 things. Well, 3 things technically, because the
Ard Boys are copied.
Ard Boys is 1 kit. That's 2 kit. That's 1 kit, which makes 2 different things.
Yeah,
the character is the pig.
The big pig, but there's another kit that is rumored that there's a character on Little Pig that's going to be coming out. So it'll be like 4 or 5 different units, but that's still more than most armies get.
Yeah, but it doesn't make a whole army is the thing, just that. So,
but they look super cool. I like them. We'll use this in Old World. Forget the old Ard Boys. Well, square bases. let's go. And but talking about Old World. Where is it? We'll skip forward. This is not what we want. This
one new model.
Yes, look at this. The amazing 1 new model for Old World.
It's a damsel.
It's a damsel.
It's a special damsel. She's a special character.
She's what's her name? Elise Duchard. Yeah. I guess that's my best bad French accent, by the way.
Because again, they're French.
They are.
If anyone says the Bretonians aren't French, they're lying.
Well, with the fleur-de-lis all over the place, kind of says otherwise.
As a model, fantastic. They let somebody literally just go to town sculpting.
Yeah, and it's a move on from here we go. So these were the previous. See, these are Morgan Le Fay and the Fey Enchantress models. Yeah. The first one and the second one. I think this is the second one.
Yes, yeah. The Fey Enchantress the second.
Yeah, so it's very much reminiscent of these, but brought forward kind of into today.
Just with modern sculpting. Going to be a resin kit, which makes sense.
Yeah, I know, it makes sense.
They specified it's a resin kit and not fine cast, which is the main thing. The pink part of her bottom dress looks like that's all sculpted detail.
Yeah, I was wondering if this is painted or not, and like what madman would be able to paint this.
It looks like it's all sculpted.
Can we zoom in on that? Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's got texture around here.
And realistically, it's actually a very plain model. When you look at it, it's a lot of very flat surfaces with some like actual real texture, but it's very plain for most of it. It's just like a horse's skin, bits of hair. So it's actually not so. The problem you have with some of these, they're so busy that you're like, oh god, take this, because But this is actually more. This is more. How can you paint flat surfaces without like making it look blotchy?
Yeah, how do you get all the shading in there? How do you do all that? But I like the model. I think it's a really good model. Like, there's no denying that they're very talented over at Forge World doing their sculpting. My problem is that this seems to be where Old World is going. So from what we've seen so far, every time they say, oh, big news for Old World, it's always one guy. Yeah, and that it'll be one resin model that we see. So it kind of feels like they're just re-releasing a bunch of old boxes with a handful of resin models to go with them. And that's going to be their amazing Old World release. I'm not so sure about that, if that's something that...
Unless Games Workshop has managed to literally hide hundreds of plastic kits without anyone leaking any information.
Like, I mean, I've heard rumors of there's going to be a Tomb King upgrade sprue for skeletons, and there's going to be a new Bretonian horse sprue and that kind of thing. But we just haven't seen anything so far. And it's kind of getting...
It's meant to be out, like, next
year.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, and they're trying to build hype for it, but it's kind of... For me, it's just falling flat a bit. And that's kind of not what you want for one of their big ticket releases, effectively. So maybe at some point in the future, they'll show off more stuff. And Charles, you said there was another big thing coming soon where they might show off?
So the next big one should be Las Vegas, I think. It's like...
LVO.
LVO, yeah.
Sure.
Las Vegas Open. That's when we could probably expect the next big preview event.
Yeah, and then maybe another one when they do Warhammer Fest next year in like May.
So we've got another couple of big preview events coming up, but nothing for a few months.
We will see. But yeah, with that, let's move on to the next one. So we've seen the Ironjawz. We will look at these guys. We're going to go into Blood Bowl now. New vampire team has come out.
Yes.
What are they called? The Drakefang? What are they called?
Drakefang Thirsters.
Drakefang Thirsters, yeah. So we've got a new vampire team, very much Nosferatu.
Well, our actual group was, because we've been playing Blood Bowl, we actually were discussing, there hasn't been a vampire team, because they showed off a new vampire special character a couple of weeks ago. And it's like, there hasn't been an updated vampire team yet, and lo and behold,
here we are.
They've actually given them, instead of the old vampire team, you used to have vampires and thralls.
Yes.
So they had basically no real positioning. Those are the thralls, but you didn't have, your vampires didn't have anything special. Like you didn't have like a runner or a thrower. And now they've given you a vampire thrower, so they actually have a guy who's good at throwing, which is actually a lot more important in the new game.
Yeah, and there's a couple of sculpts of him. So there's this guy
there, and he's got the Batwing guy.
This guy, which I really like. I love the Batwing. I think it's real cool.
He's hiding the ball this time, so you can't see where he's throwing it.
Yeah,
Blitzer. He's a dedicated blitzer. Yeah. Again, there's another sculpt of him on the next one over.
There is.
That one down there, yeah. And then they've given you 2 female runners with their hypnotic gaze.
Hypnotic gaze, yes. Very hypnotic.
All the vampires have, the thralls don't. But yeah, they've now... And apparently they're like movement 8 with leap, so they are really going to be able to play the running game really well, the running and throwing game, without having to rely on just being a brute force team.
Yes.
And again, your thralls are going to be your pretty average players who you can kind of build into how you want them. But the sculpts are fantastic. They're very characterful. They're like you say, they're very much, I want to suck your blood.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they've kind of done with Blood Bowl. A lot of the stuff is quite exaggerated because they're only making a very small number of models.
Yeah, they know that it's a bit of fun, Blood Bowl.
But they can add character to the teams. They've all got like bandages all over them, and they've been bitten and things.
Yeah, so it looks like the thrower shares bodies, and it looks like it's got different arms and maybe a head.
Yeah, so there'll be 2 thrower heads, 2 sets of thrower arms,
And one body.
and
then same
thing
for
with
the blitzers.
and the throw and the runner.
Yeah.
So you'll have a couple of different options to give them.
And the runners, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because this head, if you look at this with the wings, is the same head as this one. There we go.
It's very similar, yeah.
So it's likely that each sprue will come with 4 separate sculpts of linesmen, and then you get 2 sprues in the box as
so it'll be 4 linesmen and then 1 each of the other positionals.
Sure. This is my favorite model in the entire box.
Yeah, the little wrapped up gargoyle.
yeah. I love these. I love all like the fun stuff that they put on. Yeah, it's all super fun, super cool. And again, really good.
They could be quite useful for using in conversions for other stuff if you want to maybe make a more fanciful vampire for your vampire army.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I used the Lizardman Blood Bowl team really extensively in my Hunters of Hawaii conversions. These guys, the linesmen, would make fantastic if you were running ghouls. They would just make really cool.
You could do a flesh eater courts as they see themselves.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
and you just have to replace the hands with like actual weapons, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's it. And most of them are in kind of like hand holding positions anyway. You could very easily just pin weapons to them.
Oh yeah.
Like with very little effort, you could actually give them actual weapons.
That's a real good idea, Charles. I might have to steal that.
You can make flesh eater courts as their delusion, which could be quite fun.
And finally, almost finally, we have some Warhammer Underworlds. We're frozen now. We are in the Deathgorge. They keep on going with the names. So what have we got? Here we go. Slaanesh versus Idoneth Deepkin. I love these Slaanesh models. There are 3 of them. And apparently they all hate each other because they all represent different vices of Slaanesh. So which one is this one, Charles? I wonder.
He is utterly slothful.
He is utterly gluttony.
Excess of gluttony.
Utterly gluttony, indeed.
It is, again, a fantastic sculpt.
It is great. I mean...
just horrific in how it looks.
But I love to see different demonettes and different demons.
This is the thing. It's like you could very easily use these for character models and other things. And like, he's got like the back harp net that's just like growing out of his back, and it's like
you can't see it from here. Maybe you can see it up here. Yeah, he's got a big old fat tail going on as well.
He's had one too many.
One too many. I think a bit more than that. But yes, this is fantastic. Then we got old snake legs.
Yeah, which is a really weird and interesting concept. Like have like coiled serpent legs, still having 2 legs, but them being like big old tentacle whips. Yeah,
I think this is my least favorite of the 3. The head I find a bit weird, and I like this kind of just floating crab claw. You've got this one. With the 4 arms.
Yeah, it's just like they are great models.
This is not a good angle for this model. I don't know what they were thinking.
It's a really weird... I think they just put them down and took the picture.
Yeah. But like, I can see this model being fantastic, but terrible angle.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any better pictures further down.
No, there aren't. So yeah, that's the Slaanesh team. This guy MVP. Then we've got Idoneth, the Deacon.
Yeah, you've got a sorcerer.
You have a sorcerer.
Actually, not terrible, not in a stupid position is the good thing.
She's got her Kragnos rock. It's important.
She has, but she's only standing on part of it, and then you've got the little like squids flying off of it.
I like these. Yeah,
firing like missiles.
Again, I'd replace the head because I really like the body. Yeah. Like neck down, I love it, but head, I'm not a fan of the big old head wings.
This also could be very easily turned into a 40k Eldar, like
sure,
or something.
Yes, if you wanted to go that, like Exodites, we love the Exodites with like the naturalistic armor.
Yeah, you've got their amazing
fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. And it is huge. It is like the size of the other models.
I'm going to call it this squid is going to be worth a fortune on eBay.
Yeah, of course.
People will be buying this box just for the bloody
it'll be
squid.
like a tenner just for the squid on eBay.
Tenner. It'll be £35, I'm guessing, on eBay. But it's great. We love the squid.
It's a great sculpt. It actually looks like a squid.
Yeah, we got a squid. We got a crab now and a squid. So we're getting there. And a fish. So we are getting there to do the magical menagerie of underwater Deepkin models. So that's fun. That's super fun. And then we got a couple of Namati.
Yeah, 2 Namati soldiers, guards, thralls. Yeah. Again, they're not bad. They've got more detail than your average. More detail than your average model because they are a character into themselves. I kind of don't like that they're basically both the same. Normally you have like a bit more variation in the models. Like you'll have like maybe one with a spear and one would have double blades or something like that. He's got a little lantern thing in his hand, which might be something, or it might just be the model. But they're both armed with a big old spear rather than like having different options.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. Normally your Underworlds warband are a number of characters and then 1 or 2 kind of like minions. It feels like you've got 1 character and 3 minions is the thing.
Yeah. Because you got, I mean, he's obviously the character.
Oh, yeah.
He's the character. 3 minions. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think the models are fine. They're fine in
terms of models, but it's kind of like they're both just armed the same. So it feels like they haven't actually done a lot with them. They haven't. You've not really got much choice.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's good to see Underworlds still going and them actually actively supporting it.
Well, they are the best models Games Workshop produces, hands down.
Again, because when you can make small run, unique models, you can very much just go wild on them. Yeah, and that looks like a bone giant.
A bone giant
in the ice.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. I'll take it. But like a proper bone giant. Great artwork for it.
Yeah.
Games Workshop, give me rules for Warcry. It's very simple.
Hopefully, well, the whole thing is, hopefully they will come out with rules relatively soon after their release.
I hope so. I mean, we're still waiting for a whole bunch of Underworlds rules for the past 3 or 4 releases.
Yeah. Most likely, once this season comes out, we might see the previous season get its rules moved across.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hoping is that the new Warcry box is released with the 2 warbands. People seem to love them already, so if the price point is right, that box will sell like hotcakes. I can see that happening, and we all know that Games Workshop's strategy is basically based around what is selling and what isn't selling. So if that product sells really well, and Games Workshop have figured out a strategy for Warcry that they can use in order to get like product for Warcry shifting, that'll give them more impetus to bring over some of these Underworlds warbands, to write the rules for them, to bring over the new Age of Sigmar stuff, and that's really what I want to see. But yeah, that's my little rambling on that. This looks great. They look great. Squid is fantastic. And yeah, finally, I said no Space Marines. Technically, he is not a Space Marine. We have the Demon Prince Fulgrim, super big.
Fulgrim Transfigured.
There he is. Okay.
Unfortunately, for your average player and painter, they're probably never going to buy him.
He's impossible.
Yeah. Fantastic models. Amazing amount of detail. Just, I would never even think of painting in a month of Sundays. I know a couple of people who paint, and I would gladly
give it to them
to paint it because I know I can never paint. Dude, these are not cheap models, these character series models, especially the Demon Primarchs.
Oh, something that I haven't mentioned. This is Forge World resin. What I see is all of these spindly little bits that are all ready to snap.
As you already pointed out, the spear is ever so slightly bent.
Yeah.
Where it's just not been fully straightened. But again, you can kind of like, oh, well, it's just pose, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the talons on the claws, the bits that hang off him, there's like, he's got faces on the bottom of his cloak, and those bottom of the cloak bits, they could just be miscast, they could break.
Yeah.
You're going to have to like somehow pin his wings on, because transporting him is going to be a nightmare, because he's apparently meant almost like he's meant to be taller than a knight because of his wings.
Oh, I can believe that. Those wings are huge.
Yeah, dude, like there's about six or 7 inches worth of just wingspan going up and out.
Yeah,
I would have really liked if they'd done an open wing and a closed wing version.
sure, I get you.
So you could have him kind of like the wings more folded down, so they're not just
In the way
quite
of everything.
literally. Yeah, because you're gonna catch them. You're gonna have a hard time transporting it.
Yeah, these are going to snap. These really fragile wingtips.
As a display piece, it's fantastic. It's an amazingly detailed model. You're gonna go mad painting it.
Yes.
But if you're a painter, it's gonna be a project worth doing.
Yeah.
But as a player, it's just gonna be a nightmare to use.
So, right, I've been building Warhammer for 25 years, right?
Yeah.
And just building this model would give me pause simply because of all the little bits. Like, there's going to be so much gap filling that's going to be needed. Like, all of these connections between the arms where they connect into the body, that's all going to need to be filled because that's just the nature of resin.
At least just smoothed out and things like that.
Yeah, and then you want to build it in sub-assemblies because you want to be able to paint it.
You're going to not want to attach his waist to his tail. You're going to want to.
You're going to need to pin it in 3 different places to make sure you can pull it apart so that you can actually transport it.
But if you are a painter, it's what you do. You're already probably looking at the model and going, well, I'll just do it there, and there, and you already have a plan set out.
Sure.
Again, these models are not really designed at your average hobbyist or average player.
I mean, not this model. Like, I've got a couple of the Primarchs from Forge World, and they're fine. They're fine models.
But if you're a fan of the Emperor's Children and you want to play him in your games, you're either going to have, depending on your actual level of skill, you're either going to have him painted as best you can, but your average person is never going to have it look this good.
For sure. I 100% agree.
Yeah, and he's, like I say, from a gaming standpoint, he's so impractical with those wings. Like, just physically moving him around the board is going to be a nightmare, because you're going to just keep catching a wing. Like you said, those spikes are going to snap.
We have it now with models like something like a Bloodthirster, which is actually fairly sturdy despite the tiny connection point on the base. Like, you're just leaning over the board and like your sleeve will catch on a wing and it'll go toppling over. But Bloodthirster is made of plastic.
Yeah, that's okay. At least the Bloodthirster is plastic.
Yeah.
You get even the new Angron. Like, again, he's big and chunky and he takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And the problem is, you nudge the table, he'll fall over. Nothing should break. But again, there's always little fiddly bits that might just bend or snap.
Yeah, I think the biggest comparison, the easiest comparison to this is Age of Sigmar. Okay, let's pull up the Moratti picture. Open.
And again, she's nowhere near as big. She is still tiny compared to Fulgrim.
Yes, exactly.
She's got about half the body mass. She's got about a quarter of the wing mass.
Well, she's got half the arms.
But you just look at her wings, though, with those massive spike bits coming out with actually very little wing on them.
Yeah. And then you compare them to your boy.
Yeah. And again, they're just gonna get in the way. If you're serious about it, you'll probably already be pinning the wings.
Oh yeah.
So they're removable.
There'll be a steel rod through that spear. There will be all sorts of things.
Yeah.
He's a great model, but I would say he is a challenging model to build and to paint. That's my take on this. And that's it, really. Unless you got anything else to say, Charles, about any of the models that we saw?
I mean, we didn't talk about any of the Space Marines or the Horus Heresy stuff, because that's not what this is about. All their stuff was good. It was one good thing about the 40k releases were they've gone back to more modular kits. So all their characters are fully modular with all the options compared to how it's been for the last couple of years, where it's like, well, this is a Primaris captain with a sword. This is a Primaris captain with a bolt gun. And they all had individual entries. They've kind of, from the look of it, with 40k, they're taking a step back and making much more multi-part kits, which again could be good for other things.
Sure, they're good for conversions.
Yeah, but also for things like Age of Sigmar and Warcry and things like that, making kits with more options, even if you only use, say, 2 or 3 of the options, just giving you loads of extra bits. With the 40k stuff, it's just good that they are kind of going a bit more back to the older multi-part kit, and hopefully that will continue and will go on into other kits they do.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be good. Like, that was always one of the better things about old 40k.
Conversion and just building what you wanted.
Yeah, no one wants all of their armies to look exactly the same as, like, this is my Space Marine captain. Okay, this is my Space Marine captain. They're in the same pose. Wonderful.
Yeah.
They're in
the same pose with the exact same loadout. With
the same rock that we're standing on. Like, it's boring at the end of the day, and you want to be able to pose your guys. You want to be able to do heroic stuff. It's just the way that is. But yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, looking forward to the Warcry release. Yeah, if it's out before November,
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. We're gonna see some. We're gonna see some ogres, Charles. Probably not piloted by me. Probably piloted by you, but they'll come.
Yeah. I mean, if they lose, it's my fault.
If they lose, it's your fault, and I have no responsibility in the matter. But yeah, anyway, that's it. That's it for the preview for all of the fantasy stuff anyway. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Yeah, watch this space for more Warcry. When those warbands are released and we see the rules, I'll, of course, be doing faction breakdowns for them, so that'll be interesting. I got some interesting stuff coming over the next couple of weeks, so you'll be able to see that. And yeah, that's it. That's it from me for today. Thank you very much for watching it again. Let us know down in the comments below what you thought about the reveals, if there's anything that's particularly interesting to you guys. If you think the new Warcry set is going to be really good, let us know. If you think it's a disappointment, let us know as well, and we'll be able to have a chat about it. But yeah, that's it. That's it from me for today. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Itan. Thank you very much, Charles, for joining me. If you want to say goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, we will see you next time.